Are Poison Wind Globadiers any good in patch 6.2.2? Oh yeah, I remember these from Vermintide. It works a little differently here since these are basically chucking glass chemical warfare grenades by paw, but the idea is the same. Let's see what they can do for you and to the enemy. Recruited for 650 gold and 138 upkeep, one of the least expensive teams. On Ultra scale, you get 48 Globadiers with 3,648 health between them, so they're not the toughest, despite the entity amount. Armor begins at 100, much better than normal teams. Leadership 58 is actually a lot better than Rattling Guts. This is good because they're a shorter ranged force and therefore will take punishment. Speed 38 and charge speed 45 give them some mobility. Melee attack 18, attack interval 4.3, and no splash melee damage are as miserable as we expect. Melee defense 16, weapon strength 26, split base 20, and armor piercing 6 are similarly despairing. Charge bonus 6 is ever so slightly higher because they're not cumbersome two-man teams and mass is 150. For their globes, ammunition 18 is decent but not standard archer level. Range is 85, so it's short enough. Missile damage is listed as 37 officially, and each blow is magical attack, of note against physical resistance, happy targets, and inflicts the namesake Poisoned Wind effect. In-game it says this is a 12 to 25 point damage effect per second, so you'd probably need 12 entities minimum to get the full effect. I'm told on launch they really did do extra damage to large targets, but that's been shoved into the Forbidden Workshop only. This leaves us with base 4 and armor-piercing 12 damage per direct globe impact, and a narrow 2-meter explosion radius within which base 12 and AP 16 damage is inflicted. Remember, there's 48 entities chucking, at least if you have 0 obstructions. Since, unlike Warfire throwers, this is not a volley weapon. That's 1 munition per throw, but it's listed as artillery, meaning it should morale debuff like artillery. Total accuracy starts at 20, calibration distance of 60 meters means there's extra spread past that. Calibration area 8 means this is very scattershot by nature, and there is no multi-target penetration. The unit has standard traits, hide and force, scurry away, and strength in numbers. In the Redline skills, Blast Master at 3 pips provides plus 20% ammunition and 8% reload time reduction. Warp Smart gives rank 7 and up Globadiers, leadership plus 5, missile strength plus 12%, and 15% spell resistance. In the tech tree, Enormous Caches is a key tech offering minus 5% upkeep plus 25% ammunition. Ensure product quality as plus 10% range and plus 10% missile strength. That's for direct impacts. Reject poor recruits as plus 2 to recruit rank. Requisition protective gear as plus 10 armor. Ikit's Forbidden Workshop has some spicy stuff. If you haven't seen my video, PSA, scroll down and you'll see the part for Globadiers. There's no indication, just trust me and scroll down. Warp Razors, the first tier upgrade, provides a bonus versus large of 20. What this means is that against large targets, damage goes from a total of 16 to a total of 36, with 75% of its damage being armor piercing. I grant you, impact damage is not typically the majority of the damage here, but given that the explosion inflicts 28 total, a larger chunk of which is base damage that can be negated by armor, you've almost doubled the damage done by a direct hit, assuming default numbers, and again against large targets only. On the other hand, Globadiers are supposed to be utterly useless against a dragon. Now they're interesting. Also remember, 48 entities in a healthy unit chucking these. The second upgrade is a simple plus 15% missile strength, and that applies to the impact damage, so it's much more meaningful with the prior upgrade and against large targets. The third grants plus 14 armor piercing per melee strike, so base 20 AP 20 now, melee attack plus 25 to take their absolutely abominable base value and make it very respectable. Their melee defense still sucks, by the way, and causes fear as a trait. This greatly improves the range of rolls the Globadiers can do. So how do we use the Poisoned Wind Globadiers? Well, the basic problem is that unlike poison, you absolutely can and will inflict the dot on your own side. It may not seem huge, but it's a lot bigger than Skarsnik's Death Juice does, and he doesn't inflict that on friendlies. You're probably forced to be very Skaven TM and put up with damage to your own side because in the big picture of things, these do a lot of damage to the enemy, and that's very important to you. but the better ways to inflict this damage is against foes you're doing a good job of tarp hitting, and in ways you don't have to care too much about the damage to your own side. While this brings up the Plague Priests and Vermintide summons, this also matters for firing blindly into Warp Grinder created blobs and adding to the damage Warp Quake is already doing. Since Poisoned Wind does 0 to slow the enemy down, this is a method of attack which benefits enormously from suppressed effect via rattling guns and other sources of slow, and virtually any hero can do a decent job of blocking for the base version. Fully upgraded, you probably don't want a Bonebreaker character holding things back. Otherwise, anything up to a Hell Pit Abomination should prosper nicely. The dot simply isn't significant to them, but it's significant to the ankle-biting enemy. Just remember that the combo play is what matters. These are raw damage dealers, and pretty much indiscriminate, but the flip side is that the damage they do is pretty generous, and leaning toward busting armor means they'll help a lot against thornier targets. Just keep in mind that soft targets are going to die a lot faster to Warpfire throwers, and more to the point, a combination of throwers and Globadiers. Take care and have fun engaging in radioactive warfare pretending to be poison gas. Children, always learn your NBCs.